Hello and welcome to Cask in Grand Cayman, where we have the largest whiskey collection in the entire Caribbean.
Hello Cayman travelers. Today we have the pleasure of visiting Cask in Grand Cayman. And we're gonna be talking to Matt Macpherson, who is one of the owners, and he's gonna let us all know about this place and his personal story. Matt, thank you very much for having me here today.
Great, so yeah, my own story, I guess. I'm from Scotland, and I moved here about a year ago, but my kind of career took a little bit of a change. So I was originally going to be an accountant, which I'm sure there's lots of here in Cayman. So I studied accounting and finance in Aberdeen University, but I always worked in bars and restaurants and kind of loved hospitality. And I got an opportunity about 8 years ago to open my very first bar, and my passion is whiskey. And where I was from, in the Highlands of Scotland, there's lots of distilleries everywhere, but there was never a specialist whiskey bar, which seemed a bit kind of crazy. And I was down in London, and my sister was in hospital, so I was staying in an Airbnb, and I kind of explained this to my Airbnb host, and we kind of bonded. We both had a few whiskies one night. I wasn't having the best time down in London, and kind of shared my idea, and he just couldn't believe that there wasn't a whiskey bar in Inverness. So one thing led to another, and they kind of financially helped me get off the ground, and I started a whiskey bar in Scotland called the Malt Room. It's been going for 8 years now. It won Scotland's best whiskey bar 3 years ago, which was an amazing achievement for us. We started with 100 bottles, very, very small. And now we have a collection of about 500 different whiskies in Inverness. Now, that's where it all started for me, but where did Cask come into that, I guess you want to know? So my business partner is a gentleman called Rob Ayers, and he's lived on the island for 20 years. He's actually, strangely enough, from Inverness as well. So he was born and raised and brought up in the same town that I was. And he was over there visiting, showing his two sons kind of where he grew up. And he started chatting to a waiter about whiskey. And he said, oh, if you like whiskey, you need to go to the Malt Room and see this guy called Matt. They've just won this award and whatnot. So Rob came in the next day and we met, and he really liked the concept. And his idea was that he's lived here 20 years. He knows the market quite well. And he says there's quite an increased interest in Scotch whiskey and whiskey in general in Cayman. So I thought, hey, nice guy, get on with him very well. More than happy to kind of share my story of opening a bar and what to do and what not to do, and just kind of warn him if he was going to go down that route. And we kept chatting and chatting and chatting. And eventually he said, why don't you come out and check it out? So I did, and I absolutely fell in love with the island. I mean, there's that big yellow thing in the sky. It's called the sun. We don't get that in Scotland. Very rarely we do. So firstly, the weather, the people, the environment, I really just loved it. So I made the decision with Rob that we were going to do this thing, and I was going to move out here, and we were going to open Cask. So the name Cask, where did it come from? So the Malt Room in Scotland is quite descriptive if you know what malt whiskey is, but we felt we wanted to kind of nod and a bit of appreciation of where we are in the world. So obviously rum is a big thing here. Bourbon whiskey as well is a big thing, and Scotch whiskey. So the common factor between all those is they're all aged in casks, or particularly wooden casks. So the idea was to call it Cask so that we could have a lovely rum collection, have a lovely bourbon collection, and obviously my passion is Scotch, so it's probably swayed a little bit more on the Scotch side. But we wanted to kind of blend sort of Caribbean traditions of rum with kind of Scottish traditions, so that Cask was kind of a place you could enjoy both.
So you guys started, let's say, you guys met in the UK, right?
In the UK, yeah.
And you talk about this idea and decided to give a try and open a bar here in the Cayman Islands. So I have understood this is the first specialist whiskey bar in the Cayman Islands, right?
That's right. So we are pretty confident in saying that we have the biggest whiskey collection in the entire Caribbean. So we did our homework and looked around to see if there was any other specialist Scotch bars. There's a few hotel bars that have a collection, but we have taken over 400 different whiskies, ranging from stuff that's approachable for everyone. So if you're new to Scotch, there's a whiskey for you. And then I've taken in some pretty rare, exclusive old bottlings that you certainly will not find anywhere else.
How many brands do you actually have? Just give me an idea.
Over 400 bottles. And it was a stressful time when they were getting shipped over here. We were keeping an eye on the container and where it was, but I was very relieved to see it outside in Cayman Bay with all the whiskey still intact. So that was a nice moment.
So what are the main brands that you have here that, let's say, a brand that nobody else has on island?
Yeah, it's a good question. So we do a lot of what we call independent bottlers. So there's big brands, famous brands, Macallan, Glenfiddich, Glenlivet. But we've got a lot of the smaller distilleries, a lot of the new distilleries, and some of my favorites are what we call independent bottlers. So they're small companies, maybe like a company like Adelphi, and they buy casks of whiskey from different distilleries, and then they bottle them. So they're maybe like one of 200 or 300 bottles in the world, and they're very special whiskey and interesting to try. So that's kind of something I don't think anyone else has got on the island.
I like whiskey personally, and even though I'm not very well educated about how it is made. And okay, so can you share a little bit of experience how it is made? How's whiskey made?
Of course. So whiskey, the way to think about it is whiskey is the kind of big category. So a lot of countries in the world make whiskey, and they'll often refer to their own stuff they make in their own country as just whiskey. So if you're in America and you ask for a whiskey, you will be given bourbon. And if you are in Ireland and you ask for a whiskey, you'll get Irish whiskey. But there is little differences between the two. Single malt Scotch is kind of the most protected whiskey in the world. It's made with 100% malted barley, yeast and water. That is the only three ingredients. Has to be aged in oak barrels for at least 3 years. And the alcohol's got to be at least 40%. There is no maximum. We do have some strong ones here at about 65, 66%. So maybe if you're new to whiskey, that's not where to start. But it's a very, very special product. The thing that fascinates me about it is the wide array of flavors and styles you can get from simply those three ingredients. It's fascinating.
That's very nice to know, because sometimes, we people need to learn somehow what are we drinking, and it's very interesting for real. Now, let's talk a little bit about this place here. Okay, Cask. What year was established, and what kind of services you guys offer here?
Yeah, of course. So I moved to the island in February, and that's when construction started. And we opened our doors in August. So what's that now? Time flies. Probably 6-7 months maybe by now. And yeah, it's been a great journey. What we offer here is a beautiful space to come and enjoy drinks. So my sister was the designer here, so she designed the space. And the idea is that the Caribbean meets the Scottish Highlands. So there's the baby blues, but then we have the browns and greens of kind of the woodlands of Scotland. What we always want to tell people is that if you don't like whiskey, that's no problem. We have an amazing cocktail list. We have great wines from local suppliers. We have something for everyone. We don't have any screens on the walls. We're all about conversation, chatting to you, learning what you like, and if that's wine, if that's gin. We've taken some really lovely gins in from Scotland. There's something kind of here for you. It's all about an enjoyable environment. That's kind of what we've tried to create here at Cask.
Nice. So how many guests can you hold on the place? Because I see it's very cozy, very, very small and intimate, and I like it for real. How many people can fit in the place?
Yeah, so we've got seating for 40, but people can stand in between as well. And then we also have a private room through the back called the Woodlands, which is got seating for 12. So through there we have our whiskey tastings, we do some wine tastings, we did a ladies and whiskey night, which was good fun. And we also show sports through there. So we do have a screen through there. So I'm a bit of a football fan, so I've started a Liverpool supporters club on the island. So if there's any Liverpool fans out there, feel free to come here and watch the games. When this has been recorded, we just beat PSG 1-0, which was a bit of a smash and grab, but it was good fun. So we're just trying to make it a place for everyone, right? So if you want to come and watch the game and have a beer, we can do that. If you want to come and chat whiskey, we can do that too.
Tell me again, what are the events and the special events that you guys organize during the year or during the week?
Yeah.
So did you mention the ladies' whiskey night?
Yeah, it's the ladies' whiskey night. So we run a happy hour Monday to Thursday, 4 till 7, and we call it traffic drams. So in Scotland, you'd refer to a whiskey as a dram. So we all know the traffic jams at 4 or 5 o'clock leaving Cayman Bay. So rather than that, we say, why don't you come in for a sensible drink, of course, if you're driving. But it's we call it traffic drams, which is good fun. We also have live music every Saturday night from 8 till 11. So we've worked with local artists, get them in, and it's been a real hit. It's really lovely, just kind of after dinner crowd come in and.
So live music.
Live music, yeah, every Saturday night. We've also teamed up with the local bakery, and they've made us some pies. So I love a pie, as you can probably see. I do like to eat. And we teamed up. So we have great steak pies, chicken curry pies, and we do like a pie and a pint offer. So for $15, you can get a beer from 1981 and a local pie all throughout the week up till 5 o'clock. We do serve the pies all night. We did have a guy come in at midnight one day, and I think he'd had a few beers somewhere else, and he came in and just ordered 3 pies to take away, and he was very happy about it. So the pies have gone down well.
Can you share some of the most impactful experiences that you might have here, or the most challenging moments that you have had as a business?
For me personally, it was just, I was moving halfway around the world. There was new kind of ways to live my life and new kind of rules to get around. So that was challenging, but it's been very rewarding. I would say that people here have been extremely friendly, extremely welcoming. And I guess one of the worrying things or scary parts was, I love my whiskey. I know people in Scotland love their whiskey, but would it work here? And it turns out the locals, lots of expats, we've got a great range of customers who really have come in and embraced Scotch whiskey. So that's been one of the highlights, I think, for me, is just seeing the wide variety of people who have come into Cask and are enjoying what we're doing. So
it's getting popular. The place is you're having a lot of getting a lot of attention.
We are, yeah. So we've started a little loyalty program as well. So we're just about to launch an app for the bar. So the idea is that we can reward our customers for loyalty, but also what we want to do is learn a little bit more about what they really like. So if you, for example, really like Irish whiskey, and we noticed that, you've bought quite a few Irish whiskies. When it comes to like our Irish whiskey tastings, we can say, hey, these are our top Irish drinkers. Why don't you come in for a tasting? So we're trying to just do things that maybe in other bars haven't quite thought of, and just try and reward our customers for coming in here.
How often do you do the tasting here?
The tastings we do probably once a month. We're trying to push that to maybe twice a month. So we'll always do one focused on Scotch, and then the idea is to do a different one that's a little bit more fun or a bit different, to kind of get people who maybe don't want to come to a traditional style whiskey tasting. We want to try and get them into whiskey kind of in a more gentle way. So we do cocktail nights, or pair it with some food. So one of the fun things that we're working on, which should be coming pretty soon, is that we're going to do a whiskey and donut tasting.
Whiskey and donut?
Yep.
How the match?
It sounds crazy, right? So a friend of mine in the States has a great Instagram page called Whiskey and Donuts, and they got in touch with us in Scotland, and we did a couple of events with them, and we carried on doing it. We did it a lot through COVID because the bars weren't open, and we could send out whiskey, and then we could send out the donuts as well. So it's amazing because the flavors in the whiskey are so varied. For example, like a Lagavulin that's very, very smoky. If you pair that with like a coffee flavored donut, it is amazing. And it is just a really good fun night. So we're working. There's people on island who are going to be producing some donuts for us, and watch this space.
So how many staff members you guys have here?
So we have a team of 5. So yeah, we have a team of 5, all kind of very well educated bar people, mixture of experience from working in some of the best cocktail bars in the world. Some of the guys worked for me back in the malt room and have joined me on the journey. Yeah, I asked them on the coldest day in January if they'd like a little change of scene, and it was greatly appreciated, I think. So no, they've come out, and we're also working with the university, because for me, I feel, as I say, I was studying accounting, so it was quite a traditional career, and I often feel that hospitality kind of maybe gets looked down on a little bit as a career. People don't maybe see it as a true profession. They see it as maybe like an interim job. So I'm very passionate about educating people at the high end of hospitality, and you can learn a lot about a category and become a real expert in that category. So yeah, we're working with the university. I'm quite keen to get some young Caymanians in here and teach them about Scotch. We are going to do an internship hopefully this summer with some, and yeah, hopefully one of them or 2 of them, or as many as they like, want to take it on, and we can teach them Scotch and show that there's a genuine good career in hospitality.
How anyone interested in coming and visit the place can find you? I know we already know you're located here in Cayman Bay, but exactly what all the information you can share. You're on social media.
That's right, yeah. So we've got an Instagram page, which we're pretty active on. So that's a good place to keep an eye on our tastings. Same as Facebook, we put all our tastings and information up there. And I say we're in Cayman Bay, so just opposite Health City, next to Scotiabank. So big car park across the road. So yeah, we're pretty easy to find if you're in Cayman Bay.
So Mark, you mentioned something I'm very curious about, because I don't know, maybe because of my lack of education, I thought that mostly men love the whiskey, and you are organizing the women whiskey. Are you getting great turnouts for this? Have you noticed a lot of women here in Ireland loving the whiskey?
Absolutely, it's one of those things we're trying to change. Traditionally, people think of whiskey as an old man's drink who sits in the corner and drinks his whiskey. And I think as an industry, that wasn't wrong 20, 30 years ago. But I think as an industry, we're trying to change that, especially in the Scotch industry. There's some really, really top female master distillers at distilleries now. It's definitely proven that ladies have better palates than guys. They definitely pick up more things on the nose and on the palate. So in terms of picking up flavors and enjoying whiskey, it's certainly something that women are arguably better placed than guys. So yeah, we've tried to encourage as many ladies to come in as possible. And our female bartender, Karen, she hosted a ladies and whiskey night, and it sold out twice. It sold out so quickly that we had to put on a second sitting. So yeah, if we think that it's a guy's thing, we put a tasting out and it sometimes never sells out. So I guess that answers the question, that there's definitely a big love for whiskey in the female sector of the market. And it's great to see, because whiskey is for everyone, and Cask is kind of trying to make it as inviting as possible so that you can come in and enjoy a drink. So yeah, no, I'm all for it.
Wonderful, wonderful. Matt, thank you very much for sharing all this information with us, and we really appreciate it. It is something that we have been, anytime I walk to the bank or work on this, I look to see these doors. I have to stop by it sometime, and now we had the chance now to come in here and sit down and have a chat with you about all things here. So that's very important for us, and to share with any visitors or locals here that might want to come and taste. Yeah, now you hear this, ladies and gentlemen. The Cask has the largest whiskey collection on the whole Caribbean. So if that's not a lot of reasons, it's not a big reason enough for you to come and visit and try them all. I don't think it. I don't know what it is. You can try. You can try at least, right? So yeah, Matt, thank you very much for having us here again, and for sharing your knowledge with us. And now, if you don't mind, we can show the place around.
Absolutely. I'm going on a wee tour for sure. Yeah, absolutely. Go for it.
Thank you.
Hello and welcome to Cask in Grand Cayman, where we have the largest whiskey collection in the entire Caribbean. Let me show you around. This here is our wonderful gantry. We have over 400 different types of Scotch whisky available. We have an extensive wine list, we have cocktails, we have Scottish gins, so we have something for everyone, but of course our specialist subject is Scotch. Now, the bar itself is very relaxed, very comfortable. We have very kind of chilled, kind of comfortable seating areas here for groups. We have some lovely kind of big areas up the back for larger groups. And my favourite spot, without doubt, is our bar stools. So I could sit here and waste away the night, no problem at all. So we also have another room. It's our special tasting room called the Woodlands. So if you want to follow me, we can have a look. So welcome to the Woodlands. This is our private dining space. So this is where we will host our whisky tastings. We do private dinners. It is also available for corporate bookings as well. We do have a screen in behind here as well. So if you are looking for a nice meeting space, this is kind of a perfect place to host a meeting. I'm not sure how much work gets done in those meetings, but we could call it a meeting. And this is the showpiece of the room. This is our table that was made in Scotland. So a friend of mine made this table, completely made of Scottish oak, and is a wonderful place to sit and have dinner or a few drinks with your friends.
Planning a trip to the Cayman Islands could be overwhelming, especially with so many great options to choose from, but hey, you don't have to do it all by yourself. Type Cayman Trips on the comment of this video or contact Cayman Luxury Travel, and our team will be happy to help you out to craft your entire experience from the time you leave home until the day you return. Until then, happy travels.